Hi everyone, welcome back to Dragon's Pearl Tarot. I have a very special video to share with you today. I'm going to do an unboxing of the Isis Oracle deck by Alana Fairchild. And then separately, I'll upload the video separately, but then I'm going to do a reading for you. We'll do a pick a card, but it'll be a collective reading from Isis, asking respectfully to channel her wisdom. I want to commemorate this video to Pearl, a woman who helped raise me, who was just so lovely. And she always had sequined and bedazzled everything. I didn't name my channel after her, but after I named it this, based on the reading I shared with you, the welcome video reading, and the wisdom of the pearl card that I pulled from the Kuan Yin Oracle deck together with you. But then after I named this channel after the dragon and the pearl, I then every time I said dragon's pearl, I thought about the person Pearl and how much I loved her. I love her now, and so many people love her so much. So we were so blessed to know her, and so thank you. Also, I want to commemorate this reading for all the maternal lineages. I would really love to find a masculine energy deck that I really love. They're a little bit harder to find, and there's not as much of a wide selection to find the one you could resonate with as the feminine focus decks. But as long as we are going through all the goddesses, and speaking of Isis, such a important figure to so many people, including myself in my lineages. Um, my dog is crying because he really wants to do tarot with you. But yeah, I'm sorry if you hear. I don't want to disturb the energy by getting up and changing things by letting him in the room, though. So I'm sorry if you hear barking or crying. It's the day, and dogs are in the backyard. The window's open. There's birds, and you might hear all kinds of background noise. So I apologize if that's an issue. Yeah. Anyways, Isis is, like for many people, an especially important deity for me, in having really grown up with her. And if you grew up with her as I did, then you know she has many names, and I'm going to briefly list a few of those that I know. Please tell me in the comments if you know additional names, iterations, pronunciations of Isis that I would love if you could share with me. So there is Ishtar, Astar, Istar, Esther, Oster, Aster. It's not a coincidence that Aster has a relationship with Star, because that is what Isis, not only does she represent, but her name in all of these iterations is the falling of a star, but it's the divine feminine coming to earth. And let's start there. So this is the top of the card. I'm going to do this a little differently today, the way that I show them to you. Wings of Isis, uniting with angelic self. I'm going through this deck with you for the first time, so many of these cards I have never seen for the I'm seeing for the first time. I've never seen before. Truths Unveiled, the Revelation of Isis. You might notice that I am quote unquote reading this from right to left. I just noticed that myself. The Lunar Queen. She of the Celestial Crescent. The Dark Mysteries. Enter the chamber of the Dark Goddess. Just gonna say it, this deck is looking a little whitewashed. Let's keep going. Maybe other cards will prove me wrong. That's an impression I'm getting so far. I want to acknowledge that. The Brother in Darkness. Overcoming negative energy with feminine power. Temple of Lapis Lazuli. Wow, I love this one. This reminds me of my mom. Goddess of the Ancient Sky. The Temple of Carnelian, entering the fierce belly of Sekhmet. Carnelian is sometimes called blood of Isis stone as well. Oh my god. Wow, I am loving these stone temple the Temple of Black Obsidian, the Dark Healing Chamber. Now, you may or may not know that all of the stones that have come up are deeply associated with ancient Egyptian cosmology. By cosmology, I mean the whole concept of reality, all of those beliefs and deities. And I'd also like to honor the ancestral lineages of ancient Egypt, because what to us is so ancient that we call it ancient Egypt is the newest, youngest, one of the youngest iterations of even older lineages that, in fact, Kemet, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, but I wanna mention that as we honor this as something old, that it is itself a reflection of something much older. Yes. Talismans of potency, charging sacred objects of power. Stay true and be in your power. Osiris and Isis, Lord and Lady of divine authority. Spirit, Spirit of Isis, triumph of the goddess. Extremely whitewashed. Just wow. If I hadn't talked about it, I probably would have decided not to share the video, but I think since I felt compelled to just discuss it openly, that I will probably share this video. Soul retrieval, deep soul healing with the goddess. Speaking of soul retrieval and deep soul healing with the goddess and how whitewashed this deck is, I'm not saying that there aren't people like who looked like this in ancient Egypt, but most people in ancient Egypt didn't look like this. They especially would have been much darker, and not that there wasn't diversity, but my goodness, I mean, in Africa, that's just that's just unexcusable. So somebody, not me, I hope is working on an Isis deck that is more reflective of the African nature of ancient Egyptian culture, because I don't I've been shocked to learn, especially in teaching children, that there are many very, very privileged children out there who not only didn't know that Egypt was in Africa, but who, when they asked me where it was, were upset with me and even angry with me for saying it is in Africa. So this is a real problem. This is a very real problem that, especially if you are not a person of color or a Black person, that you especially need to acknowledge that when we act like Egypt isn't a part of Africa because we hold it in such great esteem, that is not only just geographically and historically unfounded nonsense, but it also does real damage in perpetuating false narratives that erase very important real history of African culture that is, like I said, someone else's to share. But I want to acknowledge that issue with this deck and take it as an opportunity to talk about it. That it's certainly not my work to create a better version of this deck, but it is certainly my work to say that this deck does not fully represent Isis as far as reflecting racial and ethnic realities of the culture it came from, that is dishonoring of those cultures. So we need to talk about it. And Isis, of course, had influence far beyond Egypt, but she is, of course, an Egyptian goddess, and Egypt is, of course, in Africa. And um, we're not very far in the deck, but so far I'm pretty upset by what I'm seeing in terms of that. Otherwise, it's a beautiful deck. But like I said, I hope someone is working on a deck that addresses these issues because they're very important. And it would be so wonderful to see a deck that had improved on these representation issues. Serpent of Fire. Priestess of the Serpent Sisterhood. Wow. Love I love that cobra. Scales of Balance. Ancient Tantra of the Soul. Take another look at this scarab beetle. Rising Sun. The Divine Solar Child Reborn. Queen of Heaven. Blessing from the Divine Empress of the Skies. Pyramid of Light. Step your vibration deeper into love. Proper burial for freedom. Sacrifice to Osiris, Lord of the Dead. Power over 7 scorpions. Power to conjure lower vibrational forces. Portal of light. She glides on wings through time and space. Who is working on an Isis deck with better representation of the African roots of Isis? Let me know in the comments if you know about a deck like that. If you know about an artist who's working on a deck like that, because I'd like to support them. Pillar of Light. Descent of the Star of Isis. Oh my God. Past life, present power. The many spiritual faces of you. Mother of life. Nourishment of the golden grain mother. Miracle of Isis. Miraculous healing of the goddess. Remember, she brought Osiris physically back together. They had a child, even though that one important piece was missing. She wasn't able to retrieve and reintegrate for Osiris, but they were still able to conceive. Magic and ritual. This is an important card because this pose that she's in, that's shown in hieroglyphs in Egypt, that we often attribute to having learned them in a yoga class. Yoga comes from Africa. I'm not going to beat around the bush here. This is when I was studying deep in my practice that I was lucky enough to have some really wonderful teachers. Krishna Kaur comes to mind. Check her out. Who taught me about this history, and it is history. The sacred traditions of magic and ritual, which is what this card is aptly named. And this pose is sometimes called the pose of Isis. And I can't remember at the moment the Sanskrit name for it, but the important point is that this pose is used as a piece of archaeological evidence to show how these traditions were brought from Africa to India. They are as old as humankind, and humans came from Africa. And if you're going to argue with me on that point, please don't. I'd rather just agree to disagree. And if you don't want to watch my channel, don't watch my channel. That's the kind of thing it is, okay? We have to be respectful when we're talking about things that are this important to this many people. And the truth is the truth, and the truth is we all came from Africa. So did that sacred pose. Life restored. You know, the scarab beetle, priestess of the scarab. Lady of the stars, priestess of Sirius. Knot of Isis. Energetic stabilization with the buckle of the beloved. The name of the yoga instructor who I recommended again is Krishna Kaur. Krishna Kaur. Krishna Kaur. Please check her out. Key of life. Spinning the Ankh, the key of life. Initiation. Spiritual testing of Ra and the Lady Isis. High Priestess. Mysteries revealed in the eyes of Isis. Healing the divine masculine, Osiris rises. I love this card. Goddess of 10,000 names. Isis, endless emanations of the priestess. Oh, I love those cards together. I love the healing the divine masculine and the goddess of 10,000 names together. Flower of life. Divine creativity and manifestation. Eye of Horus. Awakening divine perception. Enter the chamber of healing. Healing in the divine chamber of the Lady Isis. Divine Sun Child. Blessing of the Sun Falcon. Divine Sisterhood. Community of the spiritual sisters and brothers of the light. Isis is goddess of light and dark, the earth and the underworld, the celestial world and the sky and the underworld. Everything, the priestess of everything. No, priestess is not the right goddess. Goddess of everything, really. Mother of all. Divine guardian, protection of the winged mother. Can't fake that. Sometimes. So it is. Divine destiny. Path of the divine warrior. Chariot of Ascension, spiritual work of the higher initiate. Cartouche, divine names of power. Does that mean incense? I'm not sure if I pronounced that name right. Let me know. Ancient power mysteries. Hear the rattle of Isis playing. Abundance of Sothis. Stellar blessings of the celestial goddess of abundance. Thank you for joining me. This is Dragon's Pearl Tarot. Please join me next time. We're going to do a pick a card reading calling on the energy and blessings of Isis using this deck. And I will post that shortly when it's ready. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful week.